I got some thoughts on Raw and AEW. I have questions. I got thoughts on Raw, questions on AEW, and otherwise, hey, I'm in your hands.
Well, I did not watch Raw. And
well, good for you.
I would and I would love to get Dynamite out of the way, but if you did watch Raw, let's just knock through whatever you saw.
Well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We're in a lull. We're in a potentially there's bad weather. We're in a holding pattern. We're kind of in a static set. We're on pause. We're loading. We're
what are you talking
buffering.
About? What are you talking about?
In Raw land, it's not that they're going backwards. It's not that they're falling apart, but they ain't going anywhere really. It's just ever so slow. Maybe a glacial pace this week. It was a tough show to watch, and there was one wonderful thing on it. And if you watched the first 12 minutes of the show, then you'd seen that wonderful thing. And after that, boy, howdy, it was fucking grim. It was grisly death by the time the end came. But you missed something that you need to go back and watch. I know you've got it on one of the many DVRs there in Last Manor. Drew McIntyre not only is, for whatever reason now, one of the best fucking interviews to goddamn business. Just out of nowhere. Remember, we were like, fuck, 2 years ago, get him off the fucking screen. Tell him to shove that goddamn phony-ass fucking Spencer's Gift fucking sword up his ass. Fucking fake fucking ropes, boring-ass motherfucker.
Yeah, when Vince had an interest in him.
Well, now, don't put it that way.
No, when Vince had an interest in a top guy and all of a sudden started putting words in their mouths and all of a sudden everything became unnatural, it's hard to get behind that person.
You got to end up putting things in their mouths. You've got to be careful with the wording here.
You got a dirty mind.
Vince behind a guy. Vince putting things in his mouth. No, you see, it's salacious and it's on purpose.
It wasn't on purpose. It happened. It was happenstance salaciousness.
It was serendipitous salaciousness.
I don't know about serendipitous. I don't know who this benefits, but
is this the most verbally literate wrestling program on the air that still makes absolutely no sense? What I'm saying to you is, Drew McIntyre was all those things, right? And now he's the best promo on the fucking show. And of course, and he's working with Punk, who wasn't on this show, or it'd be a two-horse race. But goddamn, I can't wait till both of them are healthy. Because right now, the thing I'm most interested in is between two guys on the injured list. But nevertheless, they were in Greenville, South Carolina, by God, home of the old Memorial Auditorium, which I understand is gone now.
And Austin Idol, I believe.
And Austin Idol, who is not gone, and no. You know, so no, he's ever present and healthy and kicking.
That's right, darling.
That's right, baby.
Jackson,
I'm telling you now, But Drew McIntyre said that Punk won't care if this was Charlotte or Atlanta, maybe, but he ain't here in Greenville tonight because he only makes the big towns. And Greenville does have somewhat of Atlanta, Charlotte envy to him. And I mean, Drew, he's just got great lines, but also even if they're being written for him, he's saying them naturally enough that it doesn't slap you in the face, and it sounds like his shit.
Yeah, with him, it's been the delivery too. It's not just what he's saying; he's delivering it in a natural way.
And slyly, or with the inflection it needs, or the emphasis it needs, or what it's become the voracious orator. And one of the lines was, you know, the Punk's line, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the greatest trick, I can't do the accent. The greatest trick that Punk ever pulled was looking like a drug addict without taking drugs. Or maybe the trick is fooling all of you that management keeps taking him back and you people keep believing in him. I hate to call people stupid, but if you're a CM Punk fan, you're stupid. I mean, it's great. It's heel stuff, but at the same time, part of the genius of this thing that Drew is suddenly is interesting is that it's the old-fashioned kind of heel where he feels like he has a gripe and a bitch that he can come out, but then people can turn it around on him. And because all the great heel turds, and he's still not a full-fledged, he's just Drew. He's fucking sour. It's perfect. He's sour on everybody. Everybody's out to get him. This works if it's the only one. The wonderful thing about tweeners is he's the only one. Anyway, he has established that he's bitching about all these things that have happened to him and how he's been shortchanged. It does have root in reality, and then he takes it too far, and other people are able to turn it around on him, kind of slap him in the face with it. CM Punk did some of that. But now he cut the promo on Punk, but then he starts in on Damian Priest and the World Heavyweight title. And Priest's music plays, and out he comes. And as soon as he started speaking, I could tell there's a difference. And the difference was, I wrote right when he uttered his first sentence, he seems more relaxed. And he started in with, hey, you always got a problem with people. Well, you know, Punk ain't here. Say it to my face. Say it to, if you got a problem with somebody, say it to somebody's face. He's stepping up. And Brian, that's why I say you need to see this, because what we've been wanting from Priest, more of the cool Scott Hall part of the, you know, kind of Damian Priest, you know, Razor's Edge fucking thing, instead of the, what did the fans on Twitter call it? The gay Undertaker cosplay thing. Damian Priest showed personality in this. He was laughing and joking a little bit. They had a couple of quick comebacks back and forth that you could tell was wink, wink, that they came up, drew off of the people's chant, and Damian came back at him. And Priest was more relaxed, and he told the story as a complete. It was a babyface promo, but it came from a guy with a deep voice that stood up, and he was as tall as Drew McIntyre. And it wasn't pandering babyface. It was logic, common sense babyface. You know, when Drew says, you deserve all the success you've had, Priest, but not being the world champion. It needs a man to make the title, and you couldn't beat me, so you had to use the briefcase. Priest says, you blame everybody else. Why don't you look in the mirror and blame that asshole? And they didn't bleep asshole or try to, so they obviously got it approved. And he told him, you stopped me from cashing in on Seth Rollins. You even said, wait and I'll beat Seth Rollins, you can cash in on me. That's what I did. You made CM Punk more important than the championship you just won, or you could have held the hands with your wife and walked off with her, but you got your ass kicked by a one-armed man because you made him more important than the title or your wife. So you want a title shot, you got it, but if you call me a paper champion, you're going to eat those words. And then he flipped the fucking microphone down on Drew McIntyre and walked off. That's what we've been waiting to see out of Priest. And is it just that somebody finally said, go out there, and instead of acting like the reserved one that's, you know, in the team meetings, that's, you know, blah, 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 go out there and be a little bit of a wise ass this fucking guy and be yourself. I don't know, but it was... He looked like he belonged there finally. You know what I mean?
I'll see. I'll go back and watch it because, you know, it's kind of make or break time for Priest. He needs to loosen up. Not to say he has to change his character and all of a sudden tell jokes or anything, but he feels very stiff in a lot of things. So if they can get past that, good. They've got the belt on him, so they got to do something now. Now's the time.
He looked like he belonged here. It was perfect. I think he also, to be honest, with Rhea out and Dominic out, both of them hurt and maybe moving a different direction anyway, I just think the Priest needs to be a single away from, let Finn and JD be the team that they are their being. And Priest needs to not be in the group when the other star attraction of the group is out for who knows how long. But this was Priest's best promo and the best thing on the show. And then, boy, howdy. Would you like to hear in not very much detail at all what the rest of this show consisted of?
No detail at all. Sold.
Besides every time they're going to a break or coming back from a break, somebody says nothing in a meaningful way for about 30 or 45 seconds in the back. They followed that segment we just talked about with a 20-minute girls match. And then Lillian Garcia, does she live in Greenville? I don't know why she was there. I missed it if they said it.
I don't know. I did see a clip of this, though, on Twitter.
Well, yeah, she returned to guest ring announce Kofi versus Gunther. And I'll tell you what, she's no Samantha Irvin.
No, but she's a fine ring announcer. I mean, she's no Justin Roberts.
Well, no, but, nobody is, except for Smiley himself. But anyway, Gunther won that. Surprise, surprise. It was very action-packed. We also saw Bronson Reed versus Tozawa. Some more girls. Sami Zayn versus Otis. Otis lost. Gable was berating him, so Sami came back in and beat up Gable. And then Otis helped Gable up and was trying to dust him off, and Gable turned around and slapped Otis and walked off on him. So Gable is still interacting with. I'm gonna act like Gable is just in the Twilight Zone or the Phantom Zone somewhere until he gets away from the rest of the Stooges, and then when he's on his own, we'll tune back in.
You were open to Gable redeveloping himself as this character going away from the shush thing. With Otis, if they get away from the silliness and they do Otis versus Gable, are you open to at least giving it a chance as a feud?
God, how charitable do you think these birds in the garage have made me?
You've become such a nice guy. You're living with bird shit everywhere, and you're just like, oh, it's their shit. I love it. I don't want to clean their shit because maybe the chemicals. Let Otis be your bird. That's what I'm saying.
Let Otis be how about if I give Otis the bird?
Don't put that in the artwork, Travis. Thank you.
And I think Gable needs to be interacting with more upper echelon talent. I'm sorry. But after that, they had more girls. I believe, yes, that was Becky. Becky did something with someone. And then they had more guys. The Creeds versus the AOP. I think they need to be OPP at this point.
I don't know if OPP means what you think it means.
Well,
they need to be other people's.
They need to be other people's problems.
Ah, maybe so.
And they were against Finn and JD, and they were against is it Tyler Dunn and Pete Bate, or Tyler Bate and Pete Dunn, or the European Munchkins. So it was a 4-team elimination match to determine who's going to be getting a title match. This is the state of tag team wrestling in the WWE right now. So there you go. And then the main event. Yes, that was 3 hours, ladies and gentlemen. The main event was Jey Uso and Ilya Dragunov, and I kind of figured the only way that I would like this is if Ilya won, and that wasn't going to happen. And actually, I still did kind of like it because I love Ilya. But it didn't happen. Jey Uso won with a spear and a splash. A spear and a splash sounds like a goddamn cocktail, doesn't it?
What do you think of Carmelo Hayes on SmackDown and now Dragunov here, bringing up these guys from NXT who were top guys there and immediately beating them?
And they're just beating them. It goes against, I mean, it's not my philosophy. It's everything that was done in wrestling by everybody from the time that television became a thing that existed until, 10, 15 years ago, no matter whether the guy was going to be an underneath talent or a mid-card talent or a main event guy, when you would see him on TV the first number of times, you get 98% chance they were going to win the match. Because if you were going to invest any time in any talent, even if it's just give him a win every other week for 3 or 4 fucking weeks to goddamn just establish him as somebody just to put people over, they would win first. I don't know. Maybe Barry Horowitz might be the only guy that ever had a long career and his first, but or Matt and Jeff Hardy were 17 years old. They probably beat them. But I mean, is that an exaggeration, Brian? You've seen countless hours of wrestling television from every era. Did you ever bring somebody into your company, whether it be a territory or a television roster or a national or whatever, did you ever bring them in and just start beating them on television for the first 60 or 70 years of television?
Not if you wanted them to get over. And of course, it's different if someone came in as an undercard guy and returned a year and a half later. We're talking about someone who's just in a company, you want to get them over. Just go out there and beat them and never work. Losing streaks don't work to get people over.
And it's not even anymore. You can't even do a streak because, the television time is not there for them to do a 0 and 98 fucking record or whatever. But just to bring people in like Tony Khan was doing, where he'd bring in even stars, but especially people he wanted to use prominently. And for the first 6 months, and then they'd start winning after they'd lost for 6 months. And with the WWE now, even with Triple H, I don't understand why I can understand with Carmelo Hayes doing a job for Cody, because he's the world champion, and just that he's in there, that meant they wanted people to view him prominently. But to just start, even if you couldn't give them goddamn Arnold Finster for a week, their first appearance on TV, just to show what they can do. Ilya, hit your finish so we know what your fucking finish is, right? But no. So, and I don't expect them to have him beat Jey Uso, because Jey Uso is over. We'll get to this in a second. But then don't have the match. It's a work. Do something else. If he's not going to go very far in the King of the Ring tournament, maybe he came in too late to be registered to be in it, and go in a different direction. I don't know what the fuck. I'm just saying, it used to be to the talent that if you were brought into a television taping, and you were, your first weekend, you're going to do a job, okay, I see now that's what I'll be doing. Because you knew that you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, especially if you make 5 or 6 of these kind of first impressions. But with Jey Uso, Brian, remember at one point, bless him, handsome Jimmy Valiant had become pure the boogie woogie man in the Carolinas, that he was coasting on. He's going to do 60 seconds of hot shot and skipping. They're going to clock him. He's going to take an easy bump, and he's going to sell on his back, right? But he was still so over. The people loved him. They paid money to see him. You got to have him. You can't do without him. Well, Jey Uso ain't to that point yet, even though we despise watching his matches. I understand he's over. And the only problem, I think, again, with the hot dogging and the somewhat sloppy work, is that I'm afraid that they're going to see through it sooner or later. But right now he's fucking over, so I see why they're using him. He may be the Paul Jones Army feud with Boogie that we have to endure. Do you think?
Well, I mean, he's super over, like you said, despite stuff in the ring, but that's kind of a WWE thing going back 50 years or whatever. You didn't necessarily have to be doing flips or anything in the ring. Personality gets over. That's the thing. I don't know. You bring up the Paul Jones Army. Are they going to put him in a main feud with a main guy? And who would that be? Or is he going to have a good high mid-card feud? And the fans will be really into it. And it'll probably be a lot of fun on the arena shows whenever they do those.
It's going to be hard to be main event Jey Uso if you're in the 5th match, isn't it?
Right, but main event Jey Uso, so main events for Raw, let's say. You have McIntyre as a main eventer, Punk when he comes back is a main eventer, Damian Priest is the world champion, so there's 3 main eventers. Is he going to be feuding with one of them? Because then he'll be in the main event on Raw.
And then he'll be main event Jey Uso. And everybody's going to be using up their cell phone batteries, doing the light thing. But one thing in this match, I've been waiting for this to happen. Jey Uso's earring, apparently, maybe Ilya hit him with one of those kicks, I think, maybe it caught him or whatever, but his earring tore his earlobe, but he was bleeding for a shoot from the ear.
Ooh.
And that's the first thing I heard when I got to business. Well, I say that all the time, so there was a lot of firsts, but when I was a manager, they said, wear a clip-on tie. I said, what? And they said, you know, besides the fact you might could get it caught on something, it'll fucking hang you. That's so the marks can grab it and you're fucked. Get a clip on. But that's one piece of advice I disregarded because they only had clip on it like if you were going to the fucking Catholic school or whatever, blue and silver stripes, and I couldn't find colors and shit, so I had to do that. But also it was jewelry. That's all the old timers. Even flair, not only for blades, but if you see tape on their fingers, if they can't or don't want to take their wedding ring off, they've taped it because guys just wearing a bare ring have ripped their fucking finger or skin off their finger or broken their finger.
Yeah, you know, I remember in the early 90s when Razor Ramon came in, it was one of the things I first noticed about him, and I asked Georgie Macropolis at the time about it when I was a teenager. He wore his wedding ring on a necklace around his neck.
Yes, and that's why. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I remember asking her, I'm like, "What's that about?" And she said, "Oh, so he doesn't hurt his finger during a match." And I'd never heard of that before.
But here's the thing: when you think about this, because that's another thing is they say don't wear any necklaces like chains that. If he was wearing a chain that would break before his neck would, then he's going to lose his fucking wedding ring. And if you're wearing, and I think AJ Styles does the same thing. He's got something around his neck, but his looks a little thicker. If you're wearing a chain that won't break before it causes some element of damage, and we don't know how much that might be, at what angle, at what torque, if it catches on something when you're spinning, you know, there's your fucking neck. And when, I guess it was probably in the late 70s, somewhere in the 70s, late 70s, early 80s, when guys more often started wearing earrings, unless they were traveling with the Grateful Dead or whatever. A lot of the old timers took it as an insult. You wear a goddamn earring into a fight with me? That tells the fans you think I'm a fucking pussy, and they would tear them out on purpose. They said, don't wear fucking jewelry, you little fucking dick. So, you know, I've always, it's just so. And there you go. It's a classic example of it. Now he's got a hole in his fucking ear.
Well, that was Raw.
Yeah.
That was Raw in English.
Yeah.
A hole in my head.
Here's here having an evening.
Well, you know, Jim, perhaps after watching Raw or even just listening to the review of Raw, someone wants to take a nap or just get a good night's sleep, a comfortable night's sleep, we know where to send them.
Well, that's exactly right. And we'll tell you where to go right now, folks, and you'll like it. As a matter of fact, you'll have a smile on your face because we're going to send you to Sleepland with our friends at Helix over at helixsleep.com because they've been with us for so long, Brian, years and years now. And the reason is because they keep sending out these mattresses that people are just floating away on. They lay down, it's like sleeping on a cloud, curling up in a warm puppy's belly. being surrounded by a box of fluffy little birds. Little Robin Redbreast. Robin, Robin, beep, beep, beep. I'm telling you, it's like being in a bird's nest and somebody's going to bring you a worm and stick it in your mouth and rub your throat so you don't even have to swallow. That's the comfort level.
There are no worms involved. That is not the comfort level.
Well, I said somebody's going to bring you a worm.
There's nobody.
It's not Helix's responsibility to supply the worms. Yeah, you've got to have your spouse, your significant other, some child, family member.
Some child?
Some child.
Have one of them.
Some child or family member has to bring you your own worms. Helix cannot take on that responsibility. They're already the finest mattress people in the whole world. They can't go into worm farming.
Well, for the record, you don't need worms. There will be no worms. There will be no worms supplied. And we have Helix Sleep Mattresses here in Last Manor. Everyone loves them.
Yes, and I was mentioning that like these little birds that I have in my garage and that they're in the nest and they're comfortable and they're safe and they're warm. And they're sitting on top of a garage door opener. You don't even have to put the Helix Sleep Mattress on top of your garage door opener. You can put it in your bedroom or in any other room in the house that you'd like to sleep in or engage in mattressing activities.
Does it vibrate under the birds? Like when you open and close it?
No, I've had the door open for 2.5 weeks.
The garage door's been open for 2.5 weeks?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You're serious? I mean, I can't tell if you're joking or not.
No, I'm serious because I don't want the chain to rip the nest.
I didn't think you were leaving the whole thing open for 2 weeks. What? You can't do that.
Why not?
It's your garage. What other animals are going to come in there? What if other animals get in there?
Well, they'll be told to leave.
If the deer come in there, you're going to tell them to leave?
Well, no, but they'll go out again the next day. They can't come in the house. The door is locked.
You are setting yourself up for disaster, for nonstop animal visitors. It seems like a bad idea. Back to Helix Sleep.
Back to Helix Sleep. So, folks, again, they've got the Helix Kids mattress designed for growing bodies and endorsed by child sleep experts. And this thing is amazing. Designed for growing bodies, they have apparently conducted experiments where they put a type of, I guess, fertilization material in this mattress that makes your children grow abnormally large, abnormally quickly. And it's designed specifically for growing bodies. So
it's designed for growing bodies, but
it won't make your pets bigger. It's just growing bodies is what it's designed for. But if you put your children on it, apparently it makes them just plain big almost overnight.
No, they're not. It's not gonna. No one. People aren't growing because of the Helix Sleep mattress. It is the natural evolution of life. It is the growth spurt. It is puberty. There are lots of reasons that people have natural growth. Of course, some celebrities are on growth hormone. What's up, Rock? There's various reasons that people grow.
The first spurt is what led to growth of children. But it says right here that the Helix Kids mattress is designed for growing bodies.
It's designed for bodies that will be growing no matter what mattress enters the house.
Well, looky here. Does that mean that then if I get one of the regular mattresses that I can't gain any weight? Well, that's it. That's brilliant. So, folks, if you get one of the adult mattresses, you can lose weight, but you can't gain any weight because you can't grow.
And you can't promise any of this because, once again, ladies and gentlemen, your height, your weight, your growth, nothing will be affected by the mattress you get. The good thing about Helix Sleep is they are making these mattresses specific for people that will be encountering these normal, everyday, they're not even issues, occurrences in life. What do you say to that?
Well, I'm just reading the copy here, and you know, and you're good. Actually, you know, it says right here that good night's sleep promotes health and growth. So if if you get a good mattress and you sleep the required minimum daily distribution of sleep per day, according to the Federal Sleep Institute, and you also eat right and stay away from hard drugs and hard living, that you will indeed grow. So these mattresses will help you grow. If you're going to You're going to get better, healthier on a Helix sleep mattress if you're just sleeping out in a goddamn pile of gravel.
They're not going to help you grow. They're designed to be there for your growth.
You mean you can grow the same size and sleep in gravel?
Yes, although, again, a lot of the audience are already fully grown. We're sleeping gravel. Forget about the fucking gravel. Helix sleep mattresses are fine mattresses that cause you to not gain weight or anything else, but get a good night's sleep. And you design them custom for you.
Yeah, well, you don't design them. This is not goddamn. It's not
a survey. There's like a survey, and you say like, "Oh, I like to sleep on a hard surface or a soft surface, or maybe even gravel. Who knows?" I'm banging the table a lot. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, and sorry, Jace.
Well, but nevertheless, should we tell them how they can save money on a Helix mattress to try out for their own? Because that way they would be able to tell for themselves and make their own judgments and their own decisions. Because after all, many of you out there are indeed adults who can handle your own affairs if you have not signed over your power of attorney to anyone. I suggest not doing that except as of last resort, because you never know when your faculties could return. But nevertheless, folks, right now, if you want a good night's sleep or just to hear us stop talking, go to helixsleep.com/JCE right now. helixsleep.com/JCE right now. You'll see the wide variety of their mattresses. You'll tell them through their quiz which ones and/or one you are interested in. You will pick one out. You will instantly love it. If you don't, they'll give you your money back and all that sort of stuff. And right now, listen to this discount, Brian. Apparently, summertime is when people just want to make a mattress change, because Helix offering up to 30%. That's the biggest one I can ever recall. You got to hop on this while the hopping is good. And you can hop on these mattresses too. Like bunnies, you can hop on them. 30% off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows if you go to helixsleep.com and use the code /JCE. And it's not gonna last long. I think they'll sell all the mattresses out. They may run out of material to make more. Get it while they're still around, because these things could be back ordered till Kingdom Come with a deal like this.
They have materials. They are not going anywhere, but get your mattress today.
How fast can they work?
There's a lot of people in the Helix system.
I'm telling you, go right now, run fast, go to this and get these things, because they're going to run out of them and they're going to be back ordered. Because how could that 30% off and 2 free pillows? Well, you don't need anything else except maybe a furry blankie to fucking lay your weary head down and go to sleep at night.
That's right. Go to sleep at night with Helix Sleep. One more time, yes. What's that promo code, Jim?
JCE.